Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Troy Clayton, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Squadron Leader Stacey Davids. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We also acknowledge the members of the RSL Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching the ceremony broadcast across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private John Leadbetter Thomson. John Thomson, known as Jack, was born on the 18th of May, 1893, to William and Margaret Thomson. His father, William, was born in Scotland and came to Australia as a young man working in Broken Hill, Port Pirie, and Western Australia as a carpenter. His longest employment was in Mount Barker, South Australia. John was born and grew up in Mount Barker and was educated at the local public school, later going on to study at Hahndorf College. There he won a scholarship to Roseworthy Agricultural College and spent 3 years studying before going to Western Australia to take up farming. Jack Thomson enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force from Northern in Western Australia in May 1915. He underwent a period of training in Australia before leaving in June for active service overseas with the 28th Battalion. Thomson was first sent to Egypt to continue training in the desert, finally embarking for Gallipoli in early September 1915. By the time Private Thomson arrived on Gallipoli, the major offensives were over, although the peninsula was still a dangerous place to be. Snipers and shrapnel caused significant casualties among the Australians, and disease was rife. After nearly 2 months there, Private Thomson fell sick with the flu and general debility and had to be evacuated to Egypt to recover. By the time he was better, the rest of the AIF had been evacuated as well, and training resumed in the Egyptian desert. Private Thomson arrived in France to fight on the Western Front in March 1916. Shortly after his arrival, he became sick again and was discharged to light duties on base details and later at the Anzac Kit Depot before being sent to England. In July 1916, he was granted furlough and was able to travel around England and Scotland. He rejoined his battalion in France in September 1916, and 6 weeks later was involved in an attack near the French village of Fleurs. He was later reported missing. As part of an investigation into Private Thomson's fate, a private Slocum submitted information. He was a friend of Thomson's from the same district in South Australia and had gone round to inquire after his friend after the battle. He had heard that Thomson had fallen into a shell hole, and while he was waist deep in mud trying to extricate himself, he had been shot through the chest. His body was not recovered at the time due to the heavy fire and was lost in later fighting. Today, Jack Thomson is commemorated on the Australian National Memorial at Villers-Brettoneux. He was 23 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private John Leadbetter Thomson, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We'd like to thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.